Hello, and welcome to Make a Difference, the show where we shine a light on Montgomery County's change makers, history makers, and everyday heroes, making a difference right here in Montgomery County, Maryland. I'm your host, Florence Jewell. Volunteerism is the voice of the people put into action. These actions shape and mold the present into a future of which we can all be proud of. A quote by Helen Marie Dyer. According to the county's Office of Agriculture, agricultural activity occupy about 1/3 of Montgomery County's land area. In this episode, we look at a sustainable care farm, its growers, and farm volunteers. Farm volunteering offers participants a chance to connect with nature, acquire practical farming skill, and contribute to society. Farm volunteering is more than getting your hands dirty. You can acquire new skills and experience such as teamwork, interpersonal skill, a sense of empathy, and understanding of the labor input required to produce food supply. Farm volunteer work has something for everyone. Red Wiggler's Care Farm, located in Germantown, Maryland, is a sustainable care farm where people with and without developmental disability come together to work, team, and grow healthy food. We welcome the program manager, Becca Rowe, volunteers, and growers on the farm. For almost 30 years, Red Wiggler Care Farm continues to create fertile ground to nourish a healthy and inclusive community. Welcome to the show, Becky.
Thank you.
Okay, how did your journey to Red Wiggler Farm occur? Tell us about that.
Yeah, of course. Well, I have always been in love with food and growing food. I've worked on farms and took kind of a meandering path to get here. I grew up in DC, in the city, and never thought that I would spend my days in the dirt, but having worked on farms in college and after college, and then working for food nonprofits in DC, it really sparked my love of not just growing food and eating and cooking food, but really connecting food with community. And that's why I'm here. I love bringing people to Red Wiggler and showing the power of being outdoors in an inclusive community.
And before we get into Red Wiggler Farm, I want to thank you for hosting us here, hosting the show. It's been an enjoyable event for us to be here, and so thank you for this gift.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the Red Wiggler Farm community.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Its mission is powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
For sure. So our mission is that we're a sustainable care farm where people with and without developmental disabilities come together to work, learn, and grow healthy food. That's our mission statement, and our vision is to create fertile ground to nourish a healthy and inclusive community. A red wiggler is a worm, and they're kind of unsung heroes. So they're our mascot at the farm. So taking leftovers and turning it into something really, really fertile and really wonderful.
Absolutely. And with that, growing healthy food, talk about who you're growing that healthy food for, your staff.
Yeah.
Let's get into behind the scene operation.
Sure thing. Well, we have 5 programs, all of which fall within those pillars of work, learn, and grow.
Okay.
So we're growing organic vegetables, flowers, and herbs on our 12-acre campus here in Montgomery County. Okay. So we lease 12 acres from the Parks Department in a nice public-private partnership. And on those 12 acres, we are farming pretty intensively, only in about 5 or so acres of fields. So we're growing lots of different varieties. I think this year it's about 177 different things, which is pretty amazing. And we have a 50-50 model. So our distribution is 50% sort of traditional CSA, and I can talk more about that. And the other 50% we send to food banks and group homes in Montgomery County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about CSA because you mentioned that, and tell our viewers what is CSA.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into, the show is about volunteering, how the volunteers play a role and get back to your mission of the growers.
Absolutely. So a CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And what it means is you sort of buy a share of a farm. So instead of going to the farmer's market and picking up a bunch of kale, you are prepaying the farm for a share of their produce for that season. Okay. So it's a wonderful model. It enables small farms to have some an influx of revenue in the cold early part of the season.
Absolutely.
And it gives our community a chance to have a piece of the farm. So folks pay for a share, and they come to the farm once a week to pick up their produce, as well as enjoy our pick your own gardens full of our perennial flowers and herbs and other things. So that's the CSA portion, and that's just how we do it. A lot of other farms have different models for CSAs. So that's the traditional CSA, and then we have our farm to food bank and our farm to group home programs. That's the other part of our distribution in CSA.
Okay, now let's talk about the farm to food bank and the other model that you have for the farm.
Sure, absolutely. So right now we are sending over 50% of our produce to those partners. And we really are trying to highlight and bring food as locally as possible to our neighbors here in Montgomery County and here in Up County, so in the Germantown, Clarksburg area. So we have partnerships with lots of Montgomery County organizations. Just to shout some out, we work with MANA through their community food rescue program and their farm to school program. We work with So What Else. We work with Clarksburg Can, AfriThrive, Community Farm Share. So we're sending lots and lots of produce out, and I really want to emphasize that these are not the leftovers. These aren't the scraps. These aren't whatever's left over in the field. This is produce that we specifically grow for these partners, for our neighbors. And during the pandemic, we really we made that shift to be fully a 50-50 model because we think it's important to address the food insecurity in our county and help our neighbors.
And I love the fact you talk about work and grow. So let's talk about the growers and the volunteers that are helping you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we have a grower program. That's our employment program. Right now we have 16 grower staff, and these are our staff members with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So growers are involved in all aspects of the food production here. So the greenhouse work, the planting, the transplanting, harvesting, the mowing of the fields, getting those weeds with the weed eaters, driving our golf carts around, and then also with the food distribution. So with our CSA, practicing customer service, and grower staff also help with leading tours at the farm and doing inclusive educational events for the community. So really, these are not clients. They aren't volunteers. They are paid employees, and they make minimum wage or higher, and are partners, coaches, team members alongside our volunteers.
Okay. And again, this show is about volunteering, so talk to us about your volunteers and the role they play.
Absolutely. Well, volunteers are such an important part of our work here at the farm. Volunteers are doing, like growers, doing pretty much everything there is to do to get our food, in the fields, out of the fields, and to the community. So we have opportunities for individuals who want to get their hands in the dirt, and we also have opportunities for large groups, so corporate groups, school groups, So typically in a year, we have over 100 individuals come out and help us in some way.
Okay.
And then we have, let's see, hundreds, maybe 400 folks who come out in a group setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And later in the show, we're going to meet a volunteer as well as a grower. So thank you for allowing us to sit down with them.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to have a call to action for our viewers, what would that be? And this is your moment to say, what would you like our viewers to do?
Well, well, first and foremost, if you're at all excited by getting out in nature, getting your hands dirty, getting to know people that are maybe different from you, I would recommend joining us as a volunteer. We have opportunities for pretty much all ages. Now, you do have to like bugs and being okay with dirt, but we are always welcoming new volunteers to join us, people that are excited to get outside. But I understand volunteering may not be everyone's cup of tea. And so we love having folks come out here just for a visit, just for an educational tour, a sensory exploration. So we have opportunities during the week for that. And those are educational visits that are led not just by staff like myself, but also our grower staff. And so we love having visitors out to the farm. And of course, come out to the Montgomery County Farm Tour in July. We're going to be having a market, so we'll be selling our produce there. And we do also have openings in our CSA, a few every year, so check us out there. And if none of those things appeal to you, but you want to put your money somewhere impactful and effective, then we would love to have some more individual donors. They really are the backbone of our fundraising efforts. So,
Becca, can you talk to us about the Care Farming Network?
Absolutely. Well, in 2024, Red Wiggler changed our name from Community Farm to Care Farm to reflect our commitment to the care farming movement. So in 2020, we founded the Care Farming Network, which is one of our programs at Red Wiggler. And care farming is using therapeutic practices to foster health, well-being, and belonging. So that's what we are here. We're a care farm. But we founded the network to connect farms like us, because as much as I love having people out to the farm, we've only had 12 acres. So I want to connect folks with farms like ours that use farming therapeutically. We want to have a care farm in every county, but beyond that, we want to have 50 care farms in Montgomery County. So the Care Farming Network is building those connections and fostering community amongst care farms.
And how many care farms are in your network at this moment?
At the moment, we have over 300, which is incredible. So that's my plug to go to the carefarmingnetwork.org and check out the interactive map and directory to see if you're watching in another part of the States or even the world. Take a look at the map and check out which farms are near you. It's pretty amazing.
And with the time we have left, do you offer hours for SSL?
Absolutely, okay. Yes. We have lots of students come out. We offer SSL hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, what would you recommend?
Absolutely. So they're always welcome to reach out via email or give us a call. All our information on the website should be up to date, and love to see them.
Well, Becca, thank you so much for being on the show to Make a Difference, and thank you for having us here. This has been a very insightful visit, and we hope you get a lot of volunteers and you continue to grow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Becca Rowe, Program Manager, and some of the growers at Red Wiggler Care Farm.
An estimated 124,000 tons of food scraps are thrown away each year in Montgomery County. Reducing food waste begins with you. Here's how. Plan meals in advance, make a shopping list, and check expiration dates. Cook the food you buy. Cook smaller portions to reduce leftovers. Save extra food in reusable containers. Add a label with the contents and date. Let's keep food out of the waste stream and aim for zero waste. Visit montgomerycountymd.gov/reduce food waste or call 311 to learn more.
Welcome back to Make a Difference. I'm your host, Florence Jewell. We are here on location at Red Wiggler Care Farm, talking with Becca Rowe, Program Manager, along with Betsy Pollock. In this segment, we want to focus on volunteer experience, including learning how the farm plays a role in volunteering and the volunteers' motivation for volunteering. Betsy, how long have you been here on the farm?
This is my 4th growing season at Red Wiggler.
What brought you here to the farm as a volunteer?
Since I retired, I started volunteering at farms, and I relocated here about 3 years ago. And so I was looking for a farm where I could volunteer. And so I had a hard time finding a place, but a neighbor recommended that I check out Red Wiggler because their children have volunteered here. And so I got in touch and went to the orientation and started volunteering.
Wonderful. And did you volunteer before you relocated here?
Yes, I used to volunteer on another farm near where I lived.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell us what excites you about Red Wiggler compared to the farm that you were on at your previous location.
So the thing that attracted me to farms to begin with was just doing the physical labor, because I used to have a desk job where I sat, and I really liked being outside and working with my hands under the sunshine or the rain. And so when I came to Red Wiggler, I also had the added experience of working with the growers, which I think has really changed my perspective about just so much. And so now that's really more what I like about coming to the farm. And the agricultural part of it is more secondary.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned a couple things that's interesting. We'll be meeting with the growers later. But what exactly did you learn while working with the growers that changed your perspective on farming here at Red Wiggler?
I guess that I had never really had personal experience interacting at all with people with disabilities. And so I had preconceived notions of what that might be like, or stereotypes, and what I found is that with the teamwork and the collaboration that we do here at the farm, it's really, they're just people like everybody else, and there's really, the idea of disability has really evaporated from my thinking over the time that I've been working here.
Right, so you've evolved with working with the growers. What exactly do you do here on the farm as a volunteer?
I work alongside the staff, and I do all kinds of things from transplanting. Today we did transplanting. We put covers on the crops. We carry rock bags. We water the plants. Later in the season we'll do harvesting and sorting of the vegetables. Very late in the season I'll help with cleaning up the fields for the winter time. So it's really the whole spectrum of a farm season.
And you talked about transplanting. For those of us who may not be familiar with transplanting, can you talk a little bit about transplanting and what that is and how that makes you feel when you're doing that work?
Sure. So the seeds get started earlier, and so now the plants are big enough to go into the ground. And so we prepare the bed. The farmers do some work, I think, with machinery, but we do some hand prep to make sure it's ready. Dibble the field so the holes where the plants are going to go are marked, and then we lay out the plants into the little holes and cover them up and water them, and then they're ready to grow to be vegetables soon.
Great, great. So you are planting seeds and then seeing them grow, and then they move on to something else.
Yes.
Okay. If you were talking to someone about volunteering here at Red Wiggler Care Farm, what would be your message to them?
I would say to come and try it. It's really nice to be outside. The people that work here are wonderful. The staff, the growers, the volunteers, it's a real community. And I think that they would enjoy their time here.
And we were really trying to focus on the younger generation, 18 to 49-year-olds. Explain community and what would make them happy being a volunteer here.
I think just the interacting with different people. We meet all kinds of interesting people. Sometimes people are just coming once, and we can tell them about what's going on, organic farming, how we take care of the soil and the landscape, enjoy the birds and other animals that might be around.
Absolutely. Becca, before we end this segment with Betsy, anything you want to add regarding volunteering?
Oh gosh, well Betsy did such a great job, I think, discussing all the different facets of being a volunteer here. It isn't just the physical part and the manual, being out in the fields and doing work with your hands, but it's being part of our inclusive community and being a partner to our grower staff, getting to know volunteers who are 30 years older than you or 30 years younger than you, or folks coming from organizations and businesses that come out for a day, school groups that come out. It's just every day, I think you would agree, every day is a little bit different. And the weather keeps us on our toes. So yeah, there's a lot more, I think, to volunteering here than just getting on your hands and knees and digging in the dirt, but that's also an important part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I didn't ask you, you mentioned about the weather. The volunteers work during the weather if we have inclement weather?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
There's lovely yellow slickers you can borrow if you don't want to get wet.
Yeah, within reason. We try not to be too mean. So if it's pouring rain, we're gonna work on tasks that we can do indoors or in this lovely barn. And of course, if it's thundering or if there's anything unsafe, we're not sending people outdoors. But if it rains, crops still need to be harvested.
Yes, it's part of nature, and you're flowing with nature.
Exactly.
It's great to hear that there are other volunteer activities that you can do here on the farm. Well, Betsy and Becca, thank you so much for having this interview and being on Make a Difference to talk about volunteering. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Becca Rowe, program managers, and some of the growers at Red Wiggler Care Farm.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers? But there's only one number you need to remember for non-emergency calls, 311. MC311 is Montgomery County government's online telephone information system. Need information? Have a problem or complaint? Trying to locate a county government facility? Call 311. The call center is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Welcome back to Make a Difference. I'm your host, Florence Jewell. We're here at Red Wiggler Care Farm in Germantown, Maryland. With me is Becca Rowe, program manager, and a grower, Enrique, on the farm. Welcome to the show, Enrique and Becky.
Thank you.
Enrique, I understand you're a grower. How long have you been a grower?
This is my second season being a grower.
And can you share with us exactly what you do as a grower?
And what I do as a grower, I plant seeds, do transplants up in the field.
I also understand that you work with volunteers.
Yes.
How do you enjoy that?
I really enjoy it. I like giving them tours, when the season comes. And showing them what we do on the farm too as well.
Wonderful.
Showing them the tools, what we use on the field.
I also understand you were a volunteer before you became a grower.
Yes, that's right. A couple years ago, I came with my school and got given a tour of the place. And that got me more into working here at the Red Wiggler Care Farm.
What excites you about being a grower?
I like being in the outdoors, getting my hands dirty. Yeah, and making friends, and yeah, it's like family here.
Absolutely, yes. It is like a family, and being outdoors in nature is also refreshing as well.
Yes.
When you work with volunteers, this show is about volunteers, but we also want to highlight the growers as well. What would you tell volunteers to inspire them to join you as a grower?
Well, I would tell volunteers to like inspire them to join us. Just like to look at like our YouTube videos that we have, like watch the videos.
Okay.
Yeah, and here like we can like show them more of the stuff to like encourage them to like join us.
Absolutely. Everybody needs encouraging. And then, of course, by you being a grower, you're planting seeds every day, and the food that you plant are helping the community.
Yes.
And then also, as a grower, you know, what are your work hours? I know you took time to be with us today, and we really appreciate you. Talk about your work hours.
My work hour, I start at 9 and end at 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you work 4 hours.
Yes.
Okay. I mean 3 hours.
3 hours.
My math is
But you also work on some Saturdays too, when the growing season
When the growing season starts, I will also work on some Saturdays as well.
Okay. And Becca told me that you did an event earlier about Career Day. You want to talk about that as well?
The Career Day was pretty amazing. Yeah, I loved it. We talked to like different like companies that we have here, like Mana Food Banks.
Yeah.
And so what else? Got to learn more about and what to do.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So you have like this network of other nonprofits you're working with.
Yes.
And you got to talk to them about it. Becca, before we wrap this segment, is there anything you want to add to what Enrique had said? I've just enjoyed this conversation with him.
Yeah, well, I'm going to brag about Enrique for him. I know it's hard to brag about yourself, but Enrique started out volunteering in middle school and came back in high school, right,
Yes.
with Seneca Valley High School, and then joined us as a paid grower staff. And then in the 2 years since you've joined us as a staff member, you have, I think, been a part of every single program we have here. So not only does Enrique do great work in the fields with planting and weeding and harvesting, but Enrique also is one of our education team members, as he mentioned, so leading tours for visitors, being a really welcoming presence. And you also help with our CSA program,
Yeah.
so helping distribute the produce to our customers and to the community. So you wear a lot of different hats at Red Wiggler.
No, I mainly wear this one. I mainly wear this one.
Oh, Enrique, thank you. I see you have a sense of humor. So I want to thank you and Becca for being on the Make a Difference show, because you truly are making a difference in the community and for others. And I really appreciate both of you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We've been in conversations with Becca Rowe and members of her team, including a volunteer and a grower at the Red Wiggler Care Farm in Germantown, Maryland. What an insightful experience learning about Red Wiggler Care Farm's mission, operation, partnership, the team, and especially volunteer opportunities. If you would like to volunteer at Red Wiggler Care Farm or any organization, contact the Montgomery County Volunteer Center at 240-777-2600 or visit our website at montgomeryserves.org. That's it for this episode of Make a Difference. I'd like to thank our Red Wiggler Care Farm team, Becca Rowe, and the entire production team and the editing staff, and you, our audience. I'm your host, Florence Jewell. Remember, change starts with you. Until next time, let's be inspired, involved, and be sure to make a difference.